Hello, good morning. And have a little cough today, but hope I'll be fine. As a parent, and having kids, I was, so happy when they're babies. Kids are babies. They cry and sleep. But when they start to talk, as many parents told me, you'll find out soon enough. Well, I found out soon enough. They have their minds of their own, as kids. And sometimes you tell them once, you tell them twice, you tell them thrice, they don't listen. Sometimes it's sometimes frustrating. Sometimes as a parent, then you learn patience and everything. There's a funny phrase I heard that kids are so adorable when they're sleeping. In the morning, you're still fine. In the afternoon, you're holding on to your wits. In the evening, you're really, kind of surrendering yourself, or, you're kind of really frustrated because, kids are kids and they have their own things. But we still love them no matter what, right? I mean, there are kids. You see they see a part of us. You see a part of yourselves in them. But sometimes it's really, they stretch you. I mean, they test your limits. They bring you to tears sometimes, especially if you see this scenario like a kid run like EJ running 4-year-old and suddenly running toward the street. Things will in your brain you'll start ambulance, he hit by a car, worse death. So all these things would come to mind, and as a parent you always try to be aware to guard them and everything. And so, as a parent or as a Christian, sometimes I learned that how can I deal with this properly? What are you showing me, God? Why is there anything important in this relationship? And I found out that my love, my taking care of them is incomplete. Is not appropriate at times, because I found out that human love is always conditional. Rewards and punishment go automatic. See, a father or a parent's love to a kid is one of the strongest bonds, like a wife, husband and wife too. I thought it's natural to love your kid no matter what. But in reality, because we are human, there is something lacking and something to be learned, maybe. And I found out that I need to have God's love, which is the unconditional love. But then I said, should I learn it? Maybe in the scripture it says, knock and you shall find, seek, and you shall have it. And I found out that I have to ask for God's love. I have to ask for God's unconditional love. And I found out that He gives His love. And it is for me to give it also to others. It's not the thing that I have to learn it. It's not a thing that I have to, it's a thing that I should give. It's a thing that it's from Him. And this love, this unconditional love is really something deep. See, I'm not yet, I'm still a lot of years in my life and I'm still learning this, but it is something very deep and very wide that sometimes circumstances, if you really look at them, really may matter, but the way that you treat the person, the way that you tell it to them is important. I usually when I discipline my children and spank them, before I just, I say, it's your fault, you deserve this, and that's it. But now I try to say, I love you and I have to discipline you. Because if not, this will happen to you. So, and then, as I learned that after I discipline them, I hug them. And so it's a learning process. It's a learning process for me. And I found out it is the best one. Because we too are children of God. And we too irritate God. We too make the same mistake sometimes, every time, and every time. And isn't it, sometimes you see kids, I say to my kids, oh, clean up your room every day. I even ask some people, when will they stop? They say, when they get married or leave the home. You see? But it's every day I tell them, clean up your room. Every day the room's a mess. Kids are kids. And then I realize in my life, I too make the same mistakes every day. And God has unconditional love, and He gives it to me. And that thing also hit me because it works in every relationship, even my wife. Because if it's only human nature and human nature in a relationship, two human natures, it will never last. Once, because we are imperfect, we make frictions, there's problems. And that's why sometimes our rate of divorce is also higher. They break up. The only way I found, I think, is that if the relationship is with God, and our human nature is overcome, or we have God's love, and if our love is evident in a relationship with God's help, it's they call it like a relationship with God, then it will work. But any relationship with human nature alone, like the two of you, and there's no God's Spirit in it, won't work because our love is incomplete. Our love is lacking. That's why, there are fights everywhere. You can see between friends, sisters, and brothers, husband and wife, everywhere. In every relationship, there must be God in it, and both people must ask about God. Give us unconditional love. Give us this love so that this relationship will work. In the relationship, I heard that one of the hardest relationship also is which is true. I can verify this is the in-laws too. So, yeah, and it's in fact I see books, loving my in-laws. Wow, these are new books to me. But sometimes, it's tough, or maybe your kids, or maybe those in prisons, or those who have wronged you. But there is a solution if you want it. It's that if you involve God in your relationships and probably ask Him for His unconditional love, and that is the best because it works. Would you love a God who loves you unconditionally? Yes. That's the only way it will work. See, human nature, I'm sorry to say, human nature is unlovable. I just realized I am unlovable by myself, yes. But with God's love in me, and my changing of my heart in myself, makes the difference. It says in the Bible, our goodness comes from Him, and that is true. Unfortunately for myself, human nature is not worth it. It's only God's. If I ask for His character and ask Him to show me the way, and I exercise it by giving it, is the only way. So I thank you, God, for showing me that you have unconditional love, and as I stay in my life, I still learn a lot. I hope I can give it a lot to my kids, to my wife, to everyone I meet, and be a better son, just like you, just like our God, our Father in heaven. That's all.